Hi everyone, I wanted to give you a quick overview of the assignment for this week, milestone number 1. You're going to be addressing critical element number 1, overview of the community and the problem. You're going to justify your selection of a community and describe it in depth. And then you're going to describe your problem. You're going to give an overview of that problem and discuss its prevalence in your community. Um, you're going to talk about how it's not currently being adequately addressed and how it needs to be addressed with an evidence-based and culturally responsive treatment. This week, this week and every week, you'll be using APA formatting, and you're going to be addressing or contextualizing your critical element with these 6 course outcomes. I want you to take the time to read those over very carefully because each and every week you'll have the same 6 course outcomes. These are the measures, the metrics that I use to grade your submission. And so if you include content that addresses course outcome number 1 here, I'll be able to mark in progress. If you do not include information, I'll have to mark not evident. So by adding this content each and every week, you will be developing a very strong capstone. And so it's important for you to make sure to include this content. For example, course outcome number 1, evaluate the social, political, and historical milestones and trends in human services. So you want to make sure that you're including that kind of information. Certainly, you've selected a social issue in your community. You can talk about the historical trends about that issue in terms of human services in general, and then talk about it specifically in your community. Course outcome number 2 here talks about applying culturally responsive strategies. So you're going to want to select a intervention that is culturally responsive, and you'll be able to do that by doing selecting peer-reviewed journal articles published within the past 5 years that demonstrate evidence-based strategies. You're going to apply legal and ethical standards in each and every one of your submissions. You're going to talk about the NOHS standards. I want you to read them because they really do talk about things like privacy, about confidentiality. They talk about working with vulnerable people who may be elderly, who may have disabilities, who may have maybe children, and you certainly have mandated reporter requirements that are legal statutes in every state and also are embedded in the ethical standards for human services. Course outcome number 4 talks about employing professional and interpersonal dynamics. This is how you're going to build rapport in your community to get buy-in for your program proposal. And so you're going to talk about active listening, you're going to talk about building rapport, you're going to talk about behaving as a professional, and meeting with stakeholders who are in formal and informal networks. Stakeholders may be clients, they may be people in the community who just have an interest. They may be people in a school district or an organization. And then you're going to evaluate the policy development cycle for course outcome number 5. This is how you're going to be advancing your program proposal through your community to get buy-in. You're going to identify coalitions you may join, or you may build coalitions in order to advance your program proposal. But you need to talk about that specifically and be very clear and concise in addressing that topic. And then course outcome number 6 is predicated on the other 5 course outcomes. It talks about demonstrating your ability to think critically and creatively and to make good decisions. A good decision is to select a problem that needs to be addressed in your community, um, to select a problem that is wreaking havoc in the community, and you can substantiate that. You're making good decisions when you choose peer-reviewed journal articles that were published within the past 5 years so that you have current information rather than dated information. You're showing critical thinking when you um, um, use APA formatting and you use the Writing Center um, to review your submissions before you submit them for grading. So those are the various ways in which you'll be demonstrating um, critical thinking, creative thinking, and good decision making. I do want you to submit all of your papers to the Writing Center so that they can catch those editing things and you can get that cleaned up before you submit it. You want a very strong paper at the end, and you certainly will have one if you're integrating content for each of the 6 course outcomes as you develop each of your critical elements this term. Thank you very much, and I look forward to being with you on this journey as you develop this wonderful program proposal. Have a good day. Talk to you soon.